It was, so I had my experience on the 7th. My mom very unexpectedly and suddenly passed on December 26th.
Oh my gosh.
There was no reason for it. I mean, there was a reason for it, but she was not sick. I mean, she was fine one day, gone the next, kind of a thing. So that's when I knew for sure what I saw was not a dream. It was, in fact, very real, because how else would I have saw my mom in heaven? And then not 2 months later, in February, I lost my dog, who was in heaven. And then
so
since my experience,
powerful, Britney.
Yes. And since my experience, when I woke up in my body, I mean, I felt it immediately because I had it since I was 11, the suicidal thoughts and everything. As soon as I woke up, all of that was completely gone. And that is, for the very first time since I was 11, I wanted to live.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that make you witness yourself? I mean, in regard to that alone, because here you've witnessed yourself since you were 11 years old with this, perception of yourself, this false perception of yourself, and now it's lifted, and it's like there's this piece of you're seeing yourself like through a completely different lens now. I mean, how did that feel? That had to be.
It's incredible. Like I said, it's completely changed my life. It's incredible. I've never had self-esteem ever. I mean, I've let people emotionally attack me all my life. And from this point on, from when I woke up on, I started standing up for myself. And it took that experience for me to realize that my husband was being kind of emotionally abusive to me. And then after my mom passed, he became physically abusive to me. And I didn't take it. I mean, when he would say stuff to me that was mean, that before my experience, I would just let him say it. But after that, I was like, no, you can't talk to me like that. I'm your wife. You cannot talk to me like that. And I think that's why it got more, physical. But it ended up where I called the cops on him, and now he's gone, and I'm getting a divorce, and I'm moving on with my life, and I'm not putting up with any of that anymore. And I don't think I would have ever gotten to that place had this all not have happened. And also, I don't know how I would have handled my mom's passing had this not have happened, because like I said, I was suicidal to the point where I just was hanging on till my mom passed. And then after that, it was free game. But now, because I had that experience, I mean, I'm not thinking that at all. So in a way, I almost feel like it was, and then kind of a side story, when my husband had we had the physical violence, and I ended up having to call the police. He took my phone away, and I was not able to call police. But the night before, I was looking at pictures on my mom's phone because it was just the anniversary of something, and I was super sad that day. So I was looking at pictures, and I went to go put the phone away that night upstairs in a drawer, and something inside of me said, don't. You're going to want that tomorrow. Just leave it there. And it made no sense to me. I mean, I don't look at pictures every day on her phone or anything, but I just left it there, walked away. Well, when he took my phone away the next morning, I look over on the couch, and there's my mom's phone. So that's how I got to call 911 and get help. So my mom is still helping me from beyond. Of course.
Love doesn't die just because the body's dead, And it's an energy that cannot be, knocked out of any. You're proving this. Incredible story. What an incredible story.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna take you back a little bit. So
yes, do.
As you are like realizing that you have this presence with you that we call angel, guardian angel, spirit, guide, whatever. What were you able to distinguish from this energy? Did it have a presence? Were you able to see anything? Was it a light? Was it an essence? Tell me more about this energy, this presence. Did it have a body, or was it a light?
I would say it was more a light, I guess. I could make out a figure, but it wasn't like a body figure that we're used to. And like maybe the light was so bright that it covered that body. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was very, I guess I would say it was maybe more of an energy type thing, but it was definitely,
okay.
I mean, I don't want to say a blob, but a body figure. I just could not make it out.
Right. Okay. And then what did you feel with it? What was the feeling that you got? How did you know? How did it get your attention?
It was...
Or was it more like a knowing? Like you just knew you weren't alone?
Yeah, it was like more like it was just almost like I knew without knowing, almost.
Right.
Like,
right.
They didn't, like, she didn't, or he, I call it a she because it was kind of a girl voice, but I have no idea. But, like, there was no real explanations. It's just, I kind of knew. And what little explanations there were, like, I didn't really have any questions to him because it was almost just like this understanding.
Right.
And
did it
felt
feel
very
familiar?
comfortable. Yeah, like it felt very safe. I mean, it felt very normal, natural. There was no like, what's this? Or, you know, it just felt very...
Right. Accepted.
Like, yes, it just felt very... like the puzzle pieces fit. Yes.
Like home almost, like something you could lean into.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Now, with the voice, did you feel it, the voice, or was it actually heard, or do you feel like it came through you on some level, so you know?
So I heard the voice, but I don't know if like I heard it mentally, because like the first two levels I didn't see her, so I don't know if like I heard it in my head or if like they, you know, she spoke and I heard it. But yeah, it was it was audio up until the third level, and then I think it was her or that entity speaking to me. But yeah, I mean, it could have been in my mind that I heard it, and it wasn't audio at all. But for me, I took it as audio.
Right, and in the reality of it, entirely possible both, because it's encompassing. You know, it's an encompassing energy and field and force, and it shows through like a knowing. So it's like an accepted knowing, and you're talking about that as you're trusting with it and going forward with it and trusting its guidance and knowing that it's not leading you astray. So I find that whole faith piece as very an unconditional, high soul level piece for you. You know, that's a really good indicator of why you zoomed up there and were told, hey, you have to come back. You have some work here to do before you're back here. So, all right. So this is just really cool. So when you were on level, what you would call level 1, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know, like, because after I had my experience, I started trying to look up other people's experiences. And I know, like, I've seen a lot of people say the same thing where they said that they had to come back, they had to finish something, or they needed to do something. But I hear a lot of them say that they aren't exactly sure what that is, and they're still trying to figure that out. I'm pretty sure I knew exactly what they were talking about when it was said. I started a nonprofit called Justice Takes Flight, and we help find missing persons. And I started it just before my experience. So when I had the experience, I knew that they were talking about that. And maybe I'm wrong, and they're talking about me, you know, spreading the word of my near-death experience. But I definitely took it as I need to go back and keep doing the nonprofit stuff.
And you know what I take it as? I take it as you needed to come back to do the nonprofit. You needed to come back to tell your story. You needed to come back to live a happy, healthy, profitable, joyous life, and that, you know, you get to experience heaven on earth. So I really feel like there's a whole lot that you came back for, and you have a very, very powerful story here, a very powerful voice, a very powerful purpose to find missing people. So, you know, there's definitely that piece of, you know, purpose upon purpose upon purpose, and also the self-love piece where, I mean, look at the growth piece of letting go of something that you were holding on to for however long, of lack of self-worth and depression or suicidal thoughts. And to release that, I would say that is, you know, the crown jewel. And,
for sure.
You know, an incredible, incredible story. Now, let's talk a little bit about the levels just a little bit more. I know you said you weren't in what you would say level 1 was. What was that more of a, when you said it reminded you of Earth, was it a nature Earth? Was it a natural Earth, or was it a city scene, or what was it that you were viewing on that level piece? So
it was kind of like it was nature. It was like trees, kind of an open field. There was, I would say maybe like kind of grass. The trees were kind of green, but there was like purple in them. There was a little bit of blue kind of, but it was kind of like an open, almost like meadow field type thing.
Okay.
I didn't see like any flowers or anything like that. I did see flowers in level 3. But yeah, it was pretty much just field, open space, trees.
Do you remember any thoughts you might have had at that point? Like, were you still kind of in shock or figuring out where you were, or were you aware that you were, you know, dead, you know, at this point? I mean, when as a witness to yourself, do you remember anything of your thoughts at that point?
I definitely was aware that of what I did. I didn't see like my body, or like, you know, I didn't have any memory flashbacks or anything like that. But when I was, you know, when I first entered level 1, I kind of was like, oh, is this afterlife? Like, you know, it was a very quick kind of a thought. And then that's when the voice kind of started guiding me through. And I kind of it was almost like a tour. I just kind of went with it. So there wasn't really any thoughts about what I did. There was no like negative, like, oh my gosh, should I have done that kind of a thing.
Good.
It was
Good.
very positive. And I cannot express the feeling that I had